Hey guys, Peter Vekselman here with a very, very good friend, a longtime buddy, Cody Chambars. Cody, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for allowing me to be here, Peter.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. This is the first. Is this the first time you're doing this?
I've done a couple of podcasts, but with you, yeah, this is my first time.
First time. And one thing I told Cody before we got started, I said, be yourself. And honestly, you're the one guy I literally could say that to, because I think that's your strength. You know, how long have we known each other? 6 years, 7 years?
Yeah, we met in 2016. We were working together.
Yeah, we've known each other for about 6 or 7 years. And I'll tell you, I think one of the biggest things you bring to the table literally is yourself. You know, there's a lot of people in this business, and I'm sure you've met them, who try to pretend to be something they're not, try to twist things around. And one of the things that I've always been impressed with you is just that. So talk a little bit about that, because I know there's people watching this that they do think, wow, if I got to get in real estate, I got to be different. I got to be more impressive. I got to talk differently. I got to look differently. Do you buy into that, or do you believe that, listen, you are who you are, and that's what you run with?
Well, when I first started my real estate career, I did. I bought into that. I thought I had to dress a certain way, suit and tie, and fancy shoes and all of that. And as I progressed into my real estate career, I realized that I am not going after the clients. The clients are coming to me, right? And so I built a referral business in my real estate business, and it was just that. It was myself. I truly cared about my clients, and my clients moved from clients to friends, and now some of them have become my best friends. And I stay in contact with them, I stay in touch with them, wish them happy birthday. But you need to be yourself. At the end of the day, you need to be yourself. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Be able to identify your weaknesses and say, if I need to dress up one day to impress a client or meeting a client, then do that. But at the end of the day, they are hiring you for you. They're not hiring you for your car that you drive, for the clothes that you wear, the watch that you wear. They're hiring you for you.
You know, and I think that really is a great segue in what I wanted to talk to you about, and that's longevity in this business. I think part of the reason, in my opinion, there's so many short-term players, and you know them. I'm sure you've seen plenty of them come through your agency. I'm sure you've seen people just in your industry that they get in and get out. And part of that is because they're not themselves, because they try to be something they're not. But, you know, the key in this business, one of the key components that I tell people is you got to be a long-term player. You know, let's face it, there's things that we've all done in life that you don't have to be a long-term player, right? You could get in, get out, make a killing. Hey, there's plenty of people, and you may know some, I know some people made a killing in stocks, and they get in, they get out. It's all a short-term play. Real estate is not one of those. What do you think, aside from just, the ability to be yourself, not try to be something you're not, what are some other characteristics that you have that has allowed you to, really, it's being in this business as long as you have, to some people say, well, gosh, he hasn't been in it 60 years. Let me tell you something. For somebody that's been in it for longer than Cody, being in it as long as you have, that's a milestone. So talk about that. What are some of the things that you have that you think has allowed you to weather the storm? Because I'm sure it's not always been great highs. I'm sure there's been some lows. Oh, yeah. That have been allowed you to take some financial hits. I'm sure it's not always been positive. Sometimes it's been negative. Yep. What are some characteristics? What helped you stay around as long as you have?
Well, I think, one is you're going to be your connections, your network. You've got, in this business, you have to network with people. And I was grateful for our time together. I mean, I left teaching school to come work with you guys full time. So networking would be, the first one for longevity. If you're not out meeting people in the grocery store, if you're not networking with other real estate agents, maybe not in your specific area, but around your area that can send you potential referral business. And a lot of it is honestly mindset. I mean, when I left the teaching system, the school system, I did not have the mindset that I have today. And one of the courses that I took when we were working together was called Bold. And it was all about your mindset and capturing your thoughts and thinking the positive thoughts and not letting the fear, the doubt, am I created for or to be a real estate agent? Is this the wrong career path? And a lot of people, I feel like, cut themselves short. I've seen the picture, and I'm sure you've seen it on the internet, where it talks about, you got two gold miners, and one of them stops, and they're really far away from the gold, and then the next one is maybe one or two more strikes, and they stop, and they leave the treasure in the ground. And it's perseverance. I mean, I started this with perseverance, knowing that I am not going to quit. I'm going to be successful no matter what.
Isn't that interesting that the principles of success don't change, do they?
They don't.
It doesn't matter if you want to be a successful realtor, investor, car mechanic, accountant. The principles remain the same.
Yes.
Let's flip this upside down a little bit, because there's a lot of people who are going to be watching this who are not on the same side as you are. They're more on the safe side. They're more on, let's say, my side, the investor side. I know you've done that. Also understand that. But explain to somebody, if you're a brand new investor, you're just starting out, and you need to find the right agent. I mean, let's face it, there's no short of agents, right? All you can do is Google any city USA, and you're going to see hundreds, in some cities like Atlanta, thousands of agents. Yep. If you're just starting out on the investor side, let's say, now you're out there trying to find the right agent that could help you. Talk a little bit how you would find that agent, like maybe some of the questions you may ask, where you would find them, and things like that.
Well, I would certainly find an agent that would specialize in the market that I'm looking to invest in, right? We want to have a market specialist, because they are going to have the inside trader information on properties that are possibly coming to market, pocket listings, those type of things. The other side that I'd be looking for would be someone that's going to communicate with me, right? A lot of investors, and we've worked together, and I've worked with other investors, but a lot of investors, their main complaint is communication, or that they're having to go out and find the deals, and then they have to pay the real estate agent the purchase commission, and then they have to sell, when they go to list it, they have to pay the commission. So it's a relationship. I would look for somebody that's familiar with the area, that communicates, and that really has their fingers on the pulse of the market.
You know, I really have no idea how you're going to answer this next question, but I could tell you it's one of the biggest questions we hear from newbie investors, okay? I know how I answer it from an investor side, but I've never really asked a realtor this question, so let me take a crack at it. A lot of newbie investors tell us, as they come through our organization, as they start working with us, they say, well, Pete, I met a Cody, or I met a whoever in my local market, and now he wants me to start paying him, pay him ahead of time. He wants me to pay him for his gas. He wants me to pay him if he's got to turn his computer on, if he's got to run some comps for me. And basically, and I've talked to investors who spent upwards of hundreds, some thousands of dollars before a realtor did any work. Again, I've never asked a realtor this, and you may agree with that. You know, you're on that realtor side, and I know everybody has to make money. What is your opinion of somebody who's new, whose agent is asking to get paid up front for everything?
I would run. I would find a new agent.
I'm glad I was giving the right answer.
Yeah, no, I've never. Again, I work with investors. I've never required that. It's that relationship, right? Yep. And if I build a relationship built on money in the front end, that's where it's going to stand, and that's where it's going to end. Because if the money dries up, guess what? They're going to go on to the next investor. So for me, I'm going to do my legwork. If I start investing a lot of time that takes looking at properties or driving around, what have you, then I might have a conversation and say, hey, Peter, can I have $500 for gas or whatever? But I've never heard of that. So
well, good. I'm glad you're saying that. Here's another big question that comes up for realtors, and really it's not even just a question for realtors, it's a question for people who are in this business. They're afraid of small towns. Because what they immediately equate, Cody, they equate small town to no opportunity. They equate small town to no potential deals. They equate small town to no activity. You don't live in a thriving metropolitan, downtown New York City, or even downtown Atlanta. Talk a little bit about that. Can you make a living in this business being in a small town?
Are we talking about real estate or investors or both?
Either.
Yeah, I would say yes. So I'm from Dahlonega, and our biggest landmark would be the college. But that market, and even in Dawsonville, we're an hour north of Atlanta, there is potential to make money anywhere that you are. And so that's just a limiting belief, and it's an excuse that needs to get out of your life and out of your head, and you can find deals anywhere. Yeah.
Well, I want to talk to you a little bit something that I know you would probably disagree with me on, but I think it's a topic, especially in today's marketplace, that we need to have. I always tell people, Cody, for us as investors, realtors are absolutely critical, okay? But I do tell them there's a part of the real estate where we don't even want to use them. And I want to get your opinion on this. we don't get our deals from realtors. I'm of opinion that in today's marketplace, that the MLS, the way that the realtors look for deals, it's just, I think it's a dried up, there's no real opportunity there, and there's no consistent opportunity. Sure, you could find one off here and one off there, but with someone like myself, someone that needs to do a lot of deals, I teach people and I tell people that there are no I want to then talk to you where the opportunities are, and I want to bounce some ideas off of you. But specifically in that, would you agree with that statement that from a realtor, and again, you're a realtor, you know, can you supply 5 deals a month to someone like me where I can make good money on the fix and flips?
It's a great point. Can you supply that? That would have to be a full-time designated agent that was basically working just for the investor. The market, you know the market as well as I do. We're competing against these iBuyers, right? That
Yep.
have the marketing dollars, that are on the Super Bowl commercials,
Yep.
and so the deals are harder to come by. But the relationship, going back to the relationship, right? And so the people that you know, if they know that you have the ability to purchase for cash, then you are going to be the first call. So 5 deals a month, for me personally, I couldn't commit to that. But is it possible? 100%. But it's not going to be easy.
Well, and it goes back to what we're talking about. It's going to be through relationships.
Yeah.
It's not that you're going to pick off 5 deals off MLS for me every month.
Right.
It's the fact that Cody's been in the community forever, and somebody that needs to get out quick is going to call you. So it's more of a relationship thing than the fact that, you know, they think that the fact that they have access to MLS that's the end all and be all, and it's just not.
It's not.
You're right. We as investors just can't compete in that level. But where I do tell people realtors are absolutely invaluable is on the back end. And people sometimes challenge me even on that side. They're like, well, Pete, you're an investor. You're supposed to have access to all this stuff. But I tell people I cannot compete. The other thing that I teach our partners is that there are differences in the agents. And what I mean by that is not like a personality difference or a skill difference. I literally mean differences from what you do. There is a retail agent, and there is what we call an investor agent. You know, someone that works with me if I'm a real estate investor, and someone that works with me if I have a wife and a bunch of kids. But I do know there's some cross-pollination. There's some people that do both. Talk a little bit about your opinion. Do you believe that there's different realtors? Do you believe one realtor could be both, or do you kind of more or less stay in one lane and focus on that?
Well, I think that's where, you know, do your one thing. Gary Keller said that. He wrote a whole book
Yep.
about it. Find your one thing and do it well.
That's right.
And so as I've built my business, I've worked with investors and I've worked with the families that we're referencing. And so I would say build your business how you want to build your business. Can it be exclusive? It can be exclusive, and I think you're going to get a better agent that knows how to negotiate, that knows how to find the deals, that knows what you're looking for specifically versus someone that's doing both.
Right.
Right. So I would say specialize, or specialize in one area and then bring residential in on, you know, maybe a few years down the road. But we have one agent at our brokerage that exclusively works with investors, and she sells all of their properties on the MLS, and she does not do any retail whatsoever. And so she even will refer any kind of, you know, retail leads out to our agents, that because she just doesn't want to deal with the hassle. Investors are sometimes easier to deal with than the general public when we're coming to talking about real estate.
No question.
Yeah.
Cody, listen, I'll tell you one thing as we end this. Your name keeps on coming up, and that's a testament to you, because as you know, although we started together, our paths necessarily don't cross anymore. But what you're doing, I'm constantly hearing about you. We're going to put your contact information at the bottom of this. I can tell you, if you're anywhere, is North Georgia too big of an area for you?
Bring it. No, North Georgia. We cover all North Georgia.
If you're anywhere in North Georgia, I would strongly recommend this guy. And I could tell you, there's very few people I recommend in this business unless I've done business. I've done business with this guy. Unless we work together, we work together. I've seen how he operates. You know, it is for me, because I see so many people, and really it is for you being where you are now, being in charge. You know, we see a lot of people come and go. And a lot of times people that leave, we're like, oh man, you know, he's had all the potential in the world. Yeah. But it is just an utter pleasure to see you not leave. Yeah. To see you withstand the test of time, gotten to the levels you have. And I could tell you guys, if you have the ability to connect with, and I know most people don't live in the area, but if you live in this area, anywhere in North Georgia, you need to connect. But most importantly, this is a model. This is a model of someone you could work with. The biggest thing about you that I will say, that the deals that we've done together, I knew I could trust you. And honestly, is all the things that we have talked about. And I'm sure you've heard horror stories where agents have misled people. And in this business, being misled could be catastrophic.
Absolutely.
In a lot of areas. I will tell you, of all the things we talked about, longevity, perseverance, who do you work with? I think the biggest thing for me personally with an agent is the ability to trust someone. Because that agent in the end makes a lot of decisions. A lot of decisions that we as investors, we're not as equipped as someone as that agent has. So when you're asking yourself and you're working with a Cody in your market, the ultimate question that I want to leave you with is, can I trust this person? Because in the end, what they tell you will either make a deal or break a deal. Cody, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Peter.
All right, we'll have you a bunch more. Appreciate it.